shit.
Down and out.
Oh. That was weak.
What's going on, Midlothian? It's the Cement City Chatter podcast. It's us as always, Rob and Lobo to my left, internationally known, locally loved, Lobo.
Probably not loved.
And live from the Opolka Palace, John Opolka.
What up,
What's
everyone?
going on, guys? It's been an eventful week, to say the least. We've had some fun.
It has.
We had a nice Conor McGregor fight party over at Lobo's house.
Food.
Shout out, before we even start this, let me tell you, I have got to give the biggest shout out to Lobo's wife, Raquel. She is probably, there's three people in this world that I will never miss a meal from. My mother, my mother-in-law, and now Raquel Daniels. Period.
Absolutely. I love
Period.
her food.
So if any of you guys out there are lucky enough to get an invitation to, what's the name of your resort?
The Kamana Wanalea.
Kamana Wanalea Resort.
Wanalea.
If you get an invite to the Kamana Wanalea
Come on, Walaya.
Kamana Wanalea Resort, and there's going to be food, you better show up. Needless to say,
Yeah.
we had some good food.
The Hatch green chili chicken enchiladas. Oh my god!
It was good. We had a good
What
time.
about the chorizo
the
beans?
chorizo beans. And the
John
Mexican
ends up making
rice.
tacos with just he didn't he invent his own taco.
I did.
He just started putting random.
Did. What do we call
Oh,
it?
no,
We
you
call
put
it
the
the enchilada taco.
No, yeah, the enchilada taco that you
No,
made.
enchilada taco
He
is
put
what I call it.
enchiladas
That's what he
in
did.
a tortilla.
So we had multiple dishes. We had fajitas, a smorgasbord of chicken and beef fajitas, and then a huge pan of homemade enchiladas, chicken enchiladas that Raquel made. By the end of the night, of course, we were there for 7 hours, swimming,
Yeah.
watching the fights. We look over in the kitchen. John's got a tortilla in one hand and the scooping enchiladas out of the
Hey,
pan.
you're gonna let me tell a story? Or you're gonna sit here and run the road?
You can tell a
Have
story.
you ever met him before?
Oh, I mean, come on now.
The Shut Up Rob
Okay,
t-shirts
this is
will
the
be coming
Shut
to
Up
you.
Rob
Exactly.
moment. Okay, so I got this tortilla and I got it perfectly toasted on the griddle. I mean, it had all the char marks on it. And then I went over and I said, "Oh, look at those beans." So I went over there and put them chorizo beans on there. And I says, "What else can I do with this?" Oh, then I saw the rice. So I put her that wonderful rice that she makes on there. And then I said, "Man, I want some more of those enchiladas." But I couldn't eat it all, so I said, "Screw it!" I just put the enchilada right in there. So the gelato taco invented itself. And
Exactly.
Oh my God, it was so good. And then the green chili sauce on top of it. Oh,
Yeah, when all else fails, just put anything and everything
Oh
on
my
a
gosh.
tortilla.
Well, see, you
Yeah.
could actually put that on the Blackstone website, but you don't know how to make any of it other than put it together. What? You'd be just like everybody else on the Blackstone website.
that's right. I've told Raquel that I'm going to be sitting at the door like a cat. You know, when you give a cat a bowl of a saucer of milk, he sits and scratches at the door. That's now me.
Incredible. So our cell phones have had some pretty good service this week, some pretty bad service. You know what? When it comes to the cell phone issue here in Midlothian, it's kind of redundant. I don't even know.
Call 911 for 30
Are we getting a
seconds
tower?
on
Are we not
route.
getting a tower? Last week, hell, the city was, making money off of it.
Well,
I could care less.
I want to live in a small town as long as I can have all my normal conveniences. Grow up.
Yeah.
Now here's the deal.
You can't live in a small
They
town.
want to blame the city council because they didn't put a tower up, but it's not the city council that was opposing the whole damn thing. The
entire
people that lived
subdivision.
on Apple Lane did not
the
want a
entire
cell phone
people.
tower in their
Yes.
backyard. I don't blame them. It's their land. They purchased it. They bought that dirt. They can tell whoever
Yeah,
they want,
exactly.
whatever they want to do with that dirt.
I'm going to go to a point, but they also won their argument. The city, we already heard that night, going to put it on city land, get the argument out of the way. They're already looking for a spot. And by the way,
It's gonna happen.
That one tower isn't even going to help the whole city. It's going to help select people.
Yeah, it's going to happen. But of course, you got that one guy that just wants to spin it and turn it into the city is trying to
That guy, okay,
bomb it to make money for
that guy
themselves.
is nothing
He is
but a-
clueless.
He
He's
is
clueless.
nothing but a shock jock. When he was a campaign manager last election cycle, he
Or
talked
three.
nothing but trash. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He jumped on Johnny that night about it and talking all this trash because, oh my God, this guy's going to lose money because he can't get his cell phone. That was not what it was about.
He accused one of our good friends on city council for trying to profit for a tower on their land.
And who's profiting?
No one.
Who's profiting?
Future mayor,
You know,
in my opinion.
I don't even know if they pay you for that, but if they do, I know it's a nominal amount. You're not getting rich off this shit.
Not at all.
Not like you can retire off of a tower.
No, but
So you can put two towers
when you
on
got to
my
feel
land right
good
now.
about yourself, and you got to be important, you got to get on there and start typing because you're a badass, and make a big deal about you, not about what the situation is. He did the same thing today. There's some stuff going on in our city council, or what is it called, school board,
Right.
and this and that and the other thing, and people are frustrated. This lady made a post. It was not perfect.
Right.
It wasn't sensitive. It wasn't this. It wasn't. She's been attacked on another website. She had enough of it, and she handled it over the top. I would have said it was over the top, but it's a free country. You say what you want to say. And this guy has to get on there. Well, I would expect you to be the bigger person and no name calling. Well, you call me a name, I'm gonna call you a name back.
Right.
And my name's gonna be way worse.
You know what I say to that? I mean,
And then he starts talking trash, and I'm like, well, hang on a minute. Weren't you the one spitting all kinds of trash during an election cycle against a candidate who's our friend?
and you're not even running.
He had absolutely no dog in the fight
No, it
whatsoever.
still doesn't have
He
a dog in
had
the
no
fight.
problem calling somebody else names, but now he's going to be the righteous warrior, and he's going to stand up for social justice, and he's going to stand up for, oh, these people picking on other people and all this other crap. You're full of crap, bro.
Broseph.
I mean, dead serious. Shut up and go home. No one cares about what you think. We're tired of hearing your mouth.
They're not relevant.
You're not at all relevant. We're making him relevant by talking about him, and I hate to do that because sorry, to hell with him. But Jesus H. Christ, when are we going to stop this?
Yeah, it just,
Enough's enough. This whole get online and be a tough guy. How about this? You got a problem with the lady? Y'all go get some boxing gloves, go out here in the field. She'll probably whip your ass, bro.
probably.
Let her do it. No more of this crap. I'm done with it.
And she's a smart lady too. So, but like you said,
Well, she's over the top. No, I'm gonna say she's over the top too. I don't want her being my mouthpiece in this whole thing.
No, I understand.
But the fact of the matter is leave her the hell alone. You can't even get online and post something without somebody talking trash.
I mean, he's just there to criticize. Criticize whether it's
what
A
are we
or
going to be? Are
criticize
we going
it's
to be
B.
people that care about each other in this town, or are we going to be people that want to argue all the time just to prove that we're the superior being?
Yeah.
Because trust me, I'm the superior being.
You heard?
Meet me in the field.
So anyways, we've got
We got a good show lined up.
We've got a great show tonight.
It's
I've been super excited about this show all week. As a matter of fact, it was last week when we finished our show last week, and we were talking about it and hanging out, and
we had a lot of good things happen here lately.
we really
this show
have.
is a fire. This show is going to be fire.
People are watching, and we appreciate that, guys. Just make sure you like, subscribe. It helps us. John,
Watch
Lobo,
because you hate me.
Dude,
and you can do that too. But the three of us, we come in here, we put in the content, and John, we're on what, iHeartRadio?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. There's exciting things happen. iTunes,
Spotify,
iHeartRadio. Yeah.
YouTube, iHeart. Yeah, I said that. But there's so many different ways that you can now view this platform. And then we've got some plans. We've got great plans. We've got people that have reached out to us and asked to come on and talk. And, we're doing it in our own time. The three of us are discussing that.
I thank God every day that John is our smart friend.
The smart friend. We've said that.
Because you and I would just be talking. No one would care.
At all.
We wouldn't even know how to do the internet. We'd probably do live videos. We have one smart friend. Thank you, John, for being smart.
So we had a discussion last week, and I don't want to get too much rehashing that because it's obviously something that's dear to you. But it pertained to Parks and Recreation, the deal with the rec center, the possibility of the YMCA coming in. Anyways,
hear you chew.
well. we got a call and into some conversation with another citizen here in Midlothian who is the town. What is it? The town representative for the Midlothian Youth Football Association.
Yes.
Actually, a good friend of mine, somebody that I've known for about 25 years now, Tim Roberts.
He begged us.
Wait.
He
Who
begged
is
us to be on the show.
Tim Roberts?
He paid $12,000 to be on this episode.
Wait a minute. That name sounds familiar. Tim Roberts.
Yeah. Former WWF
Oh my
wrestler.
God.
No.
Dude. The guy that used to own the Sportatorium, Sweet Daddy Guido
Royalty
Falcone.
in the house tonight.
Oh, absolutely.
Sweet
Falcone.
Daddy. Oh my gosh. Let's bring Sweet Daddy
He
in here.
walked with giants.
And
Oh
he's
my
back,
God.
And he's back to dating girls, ladies.
Sweet Daddy Falcone.
Ladies out there, he's married, so don't get too excited.
Well, but his boyfriend's really nice.
Tim, how are you, buddy?
I'm great, Rob. How are you?
Man, it's so great to have you, man.
Great to be here.
I've known you for so long, man. It's great. I mean, I told the story all the time. I said, I met Tim when I was 17. I'll never forget it. My buddy and I were, I guess they would probably call us ring rats in the business. Guys that came around and came to the wrestling matches there at the Sportatorium every Friday night and hung out afterwards waiting on the wrestlers to come out to get autographs. Well, we were a little more proactive than that. So we actually followed Tim home one night and found out he actually lived in DeSoto where we lived. The next day we had seen him going through town down Hampton Road, and we followed him into, a buddy of mine, Brian Elliott, we followed him into Texas Tan.
Stalker.
And, so we found out that he owned...
That's how he found where I live, too.
Yeah,
exactly. So we found out that Tim, this was back in the late 90s?
Early 90s.
Early 90s?
Early 90s.
Well, I graduated. No, it couldn't have been. You might have bought it in the early 90s, but I didn't come around until probably 97, 98 because I graduated.
Right.
Yeah. So we follow him into Texas Tan. Next thing you know, I would say no more than 4 days later, Brian and I both had jobs working at Texas Tan and permanent reserved seats at the Sportatorium. So
Big time stalker.
Big time.
Well, he made $1 an hour.
Dude, we used to get the gross. This was back when tanning salons, you could actually make 6 figures a year as a sales
You
representative.
still go to tan on? You got some really
No, I don't
dark
tan.
legs.
You were very tan, Rob.
I don't tan.
You were very tan.
Why are you so tan?
I will tell you this, I was probably one of the darkest guys ever to tan at Texas Tan.
The dark skin's in now, so it's
You know.
good.
Really?
Light
But,
skin's out, dark skin's in.
So how's it going, Tim?
It's going good, guys. I appreciate you guys inviting me out here. Talk a little bit about, our community, our city. I was watching the Cement City Chatter podcast because I like what you guys talk about. I like Lobo here. You just never know what's going to come out of this guy's mouth.
Believe me, with these two right here, I have my job full, trying to keep them in check.
Right.
So
Got a
you-
lecture today.
So let's talk. I mean, we'll get into all the cool wrestling stuff, but first and foremost, pertaining to our city, let's talk about Midlothian. Let's talk about how you got here and what you do here with the Youth Football Association, and start from there. How did this all come about here in Midlothian?
This started probably 20 years ago for me, thereabouts. Getting involved with my oldest son, coaching him. Then we moved to Midlothian. We actually used his grandmother's address before we moved to Midlothian because we were in Cedar Hill.
Yeah.
To be able to allow him to play. And so anyway, we, got involved because, I always wanted, be a part of my kid's life. I got 5 boys.
Right.
So each and every
You should
one
have
of
bought
them.
a TV.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
Got involved in the Midlothian Youth Football League, and I'm the actual town rep for the city, so I'm the liaison between the town of Midlothian and the MYFA, which is the Metro Youth Football
Right.
Association.
So what is your job function? What do you do?
I've got to be the eyes and ears for our city. Everything rolls downhill, as
Right.
you guys obviously know. So I've got to attend one main meeting a month to convey the different changes, the league rules, bylaws, things like that. And I'm basically the face for Midlothian.
So are you dealing with your counterparts of different cities? How many cities are involved? Wait, what is it? What's the league called?
It's the Metro Youth Football Association.
Just said that.
Well, I thought it was Brazos Valley.
It used to be.
Oh, okay,
We currently did, recently we did a merger with North Central Texas and the Brazos Valley and formed the MYFA. The MYFL, which is the Midlothian part of the football, we have a board of, I believe, about 10 members. Like, for instance, Ricky Yarborough, he's our president. Darcy,
Great guy.
Yeah, really good guy.
Went to school with him.
Loves those kids. Darcy Woodruff, she's our vice president. She's a first-year board member. She's a great vice president.
Yeah.
We also have Chris Robinson. He's the president of Midlothian basketball. We're honored to have Chris as a board member on the football. Carissa Martinette, she's our treasurer. She played college soccer up north. She's
like Denton?
no, like Penn State.
Oh, that's way north. Okay.
Yeah. So
you
she's.
Do you know anything about Penn State?
Oh, I know a little bit about that.
yeah, we'll
college.
talk about that.
Absolutely.
Penn State or State Penn?
Yeah, no. Chris,
Hashtag asking for a friend.
yes, absolutely. Mo Howard, she's a phenomenal registrar. That woman got her crap together. She's like a well-oiled machine. Mo, she's great to have as she's a first-year board member. We have Chet Enos. He's our equipment manager. He's the one that will supply all the players and kids with state-of-the-art uniforms, helmets, things of that nature. Ebony Arredondo, she's our special events project coordinator. Ebony, she's got a heart of gold. She's in it for the kids, rightfully so, like we all are. Then we have Taylor Simmons. She's our cheer director. And then, of course, we have Haley Jellick. She's the assistant cheer director. And just so you know,
I mean, there's a lot of people.
Yeah,
that are
a lot of moving parts.
A lot of moving parts.
Well, this is a big deal, though.
It's a big organization.
It really
This
is.
isn't like, hey, let's get together and play in a semi. This is a real deal.
Yeah.
I mean, the structure of this organization, I mean, it's really important because they're not only teaching these kids the proper way of sportsmanship and the sport. I mean, they are feeding the pipeline for our future athletics.
I mean, it's the
Absolutely.
difference between a state
But there's more than that. I
championship.
want to say this because this is the thing that bothers me a lot about society. Sports, well, I would say sports and the military are the two things that teach people from all different backgrounds, economic,
Thank you.
race, sexuality, whatever the hell you want to call it. It teaches everybody to get along and work towards a common goal. One of the problems we have right now in society is that these kids who have missed out on this through video games and all this other crap, they do not know how to deal with people who are different than them and get along.
Absolutely.
That's frustrating as hell to me because it's so important. You have to be able to get along with people who are not like you and not be able to look at them and go, they're different. But when you're on that team, you're all the same. Just like in life, we're all the same.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
This is important, and that's when I heard about the story of what we're talking about, which we'll get to in a minute. I know Rob's got his agenda, but it pissed me off.
Yeah, it did me
And
too.
the reason it did was because we are socially retarding our children by not promoting things like what he's doing. Look, I don't really like kids. I don't even like my own kids, okay? But sports are important. We got a guy over here volunteering his time for other people's kids so that they can grow up and they can be normal people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what I heard, which we're going to hear in a minute, and it pissed me off. because I just don't see blocking the personal growth of humans when they're little kids and they're just all they want to do is play football, have a good time.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to it.
Well, so
Let's get
having
to it.
said that, I got one question before we dive into that. So, how are you guys funded? I mean, you've got pads and helmets and everything else. How is the MYFA?
Well, the MYFL, Rob, is
Or FL,
funded.
sorry.
It's funded off of registration for the kid
Okay.
from the kids. And just so you know, we scholarship kids. Because we realize a kid should not be penalized due to the fact of financial hardship.
Right.
So we scholarship kids. We supply them an outlet to where they can come out and be part of a team. And I'm 52 years old, guys, and I'll be candid. The people that's had some of the biggest impacts in my life were when I was 7, 8, 9, 10 years old playing Little League sports.
Right.
Coach Hubbard and Coach Ricks. Those two guys, every time I go back to Pennsylvania, I try to get by and see those guys because they influenced me. That's what I want to be for these kids.
Yeah, so these kids, I mean, just so the town knows of the benefit that they have with some of you guys. I don't know the background of everybody else, but you specifically, you have a football background. I mean, you played pretty much all the way.
Yeah.
From what I understand. You went to college at
Penn State.
At Penn State, played Division I football. I don't know.
Tore my ACL.
I'm pretty. I wanted you to tell it. I kind of know.
Before I actually got to the big show, but
right.
Things happen for reasons. Okay.
But then Kiefer, your son, he went to high school at Trinity Christian
in Cedar
Hill, blue chip prospect out the gate.
Yep.
I mean, I was around. Actually, I think I worked for you at the time when he was graduating, and I mean, he was being recruited to your old school that you coached at, New Mexico, correct? Lobos.
Yeah. Yep.
Of course, I know he went up to the Air Force Academy, amongst other places. You guys are on a plane about every other week, headed somewhere to look at another school.
Yeah. Actually, what he did out of high school, Rob, is he took an offer from the Naval Academy to go play football there. After his first year up there, he had tore his knee up. So we decided at that time that the best thing for him to do is get a medical discharge, come home, get his surgery, rehab, and then from that point, he walked on at SMU and played 4 years up at SMU under Chad Morris and that regime. But at the end of the day, Kiefer.
My point is the quality of what Midlothian has.
Absolutely. These kids, given the proper opportunity and coaching, these kids, we teach these kids you can do anything you want as long as you believe. And we got kids out here that are up at Atlet in the off season working their tails off. Like I said, Coach Ricky Yarborough, our president, his son, and he'll tell you, Rooster, his little fifth grader, and Ricky tells me this all the time. He goes, this kid don't have a lick of athletic ability, but you know what? He's a top player. Why? Because give me heart. Give me the will to succeed.
Right.
That's what I want to coach, And I'll tell you what, there's a great group of kids. You don't have to look outside of Midlothian to find great athletes.
Yeah, Kiefer was telling me, we actually, not to change the subject, but for you guys that don't know, Tim's son Kiefer just opened up a business. I think you guys saw the pictures of Lobo, myself, and John.
Lobo, were you getting ready to shove that axe through Rob's head in that picture?
I think he was.
I thought about it, but God dang it, I love him.
So
It's the only way you can get him to shut up.
So Kiefer Roberts
He's kind
owns.
of like my male wife. I got my wife I want to choke the hell out of. I got Rob I want to choke the hell out of.
Everybody needs a good choking. That's why I like being around you. Actually, we've said this before. Lobo, you guys will flip out. You're going to think I'm crazy, but Lobo sometimes is my life coach, when it comes to certain things. And you viewers out there, you only see one side of it. You'd actually be surprised. He's actually helped me out of a few sticky situations that you guys could have been involved in. But anyways, Kiefer opened up a company called Action Axe Throwing, and we had him out to a party. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
He's got a good company. He's got a good thing going. He's a great kid.
Yes.
And basically, just to tab onto that, Rob, for all you that don't know, if you ever been axe throwing at the standard conventional brick and mortar, he decided, him and a business partner, let's take it mobily for people. So, just go to their website or whatever if you ever want great entertainment for parties, gatherings, or whatever. But Kiefer did go through the MYFL. This was back, he's 26 now, so 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I was a part of it then. Then I took a little bit of a break. Then I coached my 16-year-old, so I had a few years, probably 10 years off. And then I just got done finishing coaching my 12-year-old. He aged out this past season. Now my 11-year-old will be a 6th grader this year. So, and then after that, I got a 2-year-old that we got a few years before Legend, hits the field. But more importantly, the thing I share, and as a board member for as many years as I've been, the thing that we stress the most is if you don't have a kid-first attitude or agenda, you don't need to be on our board. And it's not we're not trying to profile people,
right.
But at the end of the day, Rob, what I've seen is these people become board members. It's for themselves, to be self-edifying, and to protect their kid. And what I mean by that is they'll take a child that does not have the athletic ability to be out there as a starter, and because mommy or daddy are on the board, guess what? Little Johnny's automatically named a starter. And what is that teaching our kids of society today? They live in a hard enough world. We're teaching these kids that everybody gets a trophy. Well, guess what? I sit my parents down day one, August 1st of our first practice, and I say, listen, I'm Coach Tim. I just want to let you know how I run my team. First and foremost, you will never approach me in front of these children. You will never swear. You will never use vulgar language in front of my kids, period. End of story. If you ever have
that
something...
cuts me up.
Well, the thing is, Lobo, is I tell them, I'm not always going to do everything right. But I will say this, you have an issue with me, pull me aside after practice and just say, hey, Coach, I was just kind of wondering about this. That way we can handle it. It doesn't get aired in front of these children, because at the end of the day, these kids don't need to see that.
Right. No, you're right.
We have a great turnout of kids. This year, I think we're almost at record-breaking numbers. Unfortunately, as we're shooting this podcast, it's the 12th. Registration did end yesterday. We've got, give you an example, last year being COVID, we had a hard time fielding one team per age group.
Oh, wow.
Check this out. In flag, we've got 2 teams. First grade, we got a team. Second grade, we got a team. Third grade, we got 2 teams. Fourth grade, we got 2 teams. Fifth grade, we've got 2 teams. And sixth grade, we got 3 teams.
Wow.
So we're getting a great response. But it's still shocking to me to sit here and hear, just like, if I go up to Branded Burger, talk to you guys or Beefs or somewhere like that and hang out, and I start talking to other people, it amazes me how many people do not realize we have youth football here in the town of Midlothian.
Wow.
No, it's all the sports here are like that. You never see anything. You might see a little sign like, oh, registration, da-da-da-da-da. No one knows this stuff's on there. But you know what I'm wondering now is you're here for a reason. And the reason is after our last podcast where Lobo did Lobo.
Yeah.
It happens.
we got a little message from you wanting to talk about something that happened to you, which again goes back to what I've been talking about. And roughly, I want you to tell us what exactly that message was about.
Well, every year in the organization that you play for, one city is awarded the Super Bowl. And that, as you know, that's the creme de the creme.
Yes.
How many cities is that?
That's roughly 14 to 17 cities that are vying for that.
In the Metroplex.
Yes.
Well, how many people?
So is it?
Wait a minute. How many people do you have show up to an event like this?
Thousands.
Thousands. Are we talking about 1,000? Are we talking about large amounts where you could fill a stadium?
We're talking
Ballpark it.
We're talking like, let's just say, John, you had a fifth grader and they played, and we're grade specific, just so you know.
Okay.
So kids in fifth grade play against only kids in fifth grade. They don't play against sixth graders or anything like that. So like you could have, let's just say, an average of 25 kids on a team. Generally, one child will represent 4 to 8 people in attendance with, brothers, sisters, grandparents, even in this day and age, step parents or whatever.
That's one team.
That's one team.
That's one team.
So you're looking at
150 people.
You're looking at 150 per team. Okay, so that's 300. But then you've got that multiplied by flag, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade. So over the course of a day, you're looking at thousands of people sitting in the stands watching. Okay?
And
how many days is this?
It's a one-day event.
And you've got people coming from all over. So it's not like you just show up right before the game. I mean, they're actually coming in, they're bringing their families in, and they're spending the day at the park.
John, I've got people from Burleson, which is, 30 miles down the street? Mm-hmm. They love Beef O'Brady's. And they're like, hey, we'd have it there all the time because we love Beef O'Brady.
Right.
I'm just saying, what's happening? They're bringing their dollars into the city of
They're
Midlothian.
eating, they're buying gas, they're doing all the things you do in a town.
Exactly.
And I'm sure they're filling up the hotels that we have, the limited amount of hotels.
Some of these towns, I mean, we have Springtown, Brock, Everman.
Yeah.
They're a pretty good haul. And what those towns do, they come in the night before, rent up our hotels, like Lobo was saying, and they spend money here.
So we're talking about a buttload of money.
We're talking a good chunk of change. Well, Midlothian, and I was the town rep last year, I was so excited because we got awarded the Super Bowl because Whitney had to forfeit the season because of COVID.
Right.
Whitney Independent School District would not let them host a Super Bowl.
Okay.
So normally the Super Bowl, we can hold it at like Jerry World or the Star. Jerry World was booked last year. We went to the Star. The Star would not allow any bookings due to COVID. Mm-hmm. So we got the idea, let's do it at our Midlothian Independent School District Stadium. The big, beautiful stadium right on 287.
Don Floyd or...
How'd that work out?
Well, it didn't. They were not booked, okay? We went to the athletic director's secretary who handles all the bookings.
Right.
And from what I was told by the vice president of our league last year, they just said, we just don't want to rent it during that time. It was not interfering with high school playoffs. It was doing nothing. And so...
What do you think? Maybe there might have been an insurance issue, maybe?
No, because the MYFL, we carry our own insurance.
So
it's not a liability whatsoever. So what we had to do as a board was scramble. We could not go back to the BVFA or MYFA now as they're called and say, I'm sorry guys, we can't host a Super Bowl because we won't get it for another 10, 15 years. So what we had to do is I had to swallow my pride, suck it up, and call Mansfield Independent School District. And you know what, John, Lobo, Rob? They were more than happy to take our money. And our Super Bowl, presented by Midlothian Youth Football League,
had to take it to Mansfield.
Played in Mansfield. All the revenue went there. And it broke my heart.
Yeah.
It
Well, sorry
broke my
guys,
heart.
this pisses me
Yeah,
off.
this is-
I
Oh,
mean,
dude.
our fields are funded by taxpayers' money. We pay these outrageous
There are
bonds.
fields.
They're ours.
They're ours.
They
We own
belong
them.
to the
We own them.
residents of Midlothian.
Yeah.
And we can't use the facility. I mean, what?
Well, and see, and you and I got a conversation with the new school board president, whatever he is, the other day.
Right.
Oh, well, it must have been this, it must have been that, it must have been this. No, you're a fuckbag. I'm sorry. You are. You had an opportunity, and he was on the board. The board should have looked at this and said, this is important to the city. See, again, just like I said last week, we have a problem with the school board and the city. They don't get along. They've got their own budgets, and everybody's going to do what the hell they want to do. That's crap. This is something that, guess who's going to benefit from these kids playing football? The school. You don't think that the school, I heard today there was a kid, and I don't know the kid, I don't know where he got drafted, but he's one of our baseball players
Yes.
from here, got drafted, 51st in the draft
51st
or
in the
whatever.
draft. Yep.
Okay, they're having a party over Beast right now. Okay? This is what you're turning down when you tell these kids they can't come play football here when they're kids.
Yep.
And the parents are going to go, well, shit, why the hell am I here? If I go to Frisco and do the same thing up in Frisco.
and I can tell you, Frisco would have rented that field in a second.
Absolutely.
They
This
see the
is
value.
cockamamie crap.
They see the value.
Yeah.
I mean, you have concessions, you have lodging, you have restaurants, you have all kinds of revenue that's going to benefit the city. I mean, Midlothian bills itself as being the next Frisco. We want to be the next rising star of this
and
community,
the
yet you
problem-
won't let people come
the
in to
problem
see
I got
it.
with it, we've talked to our buddies in the city council. They have no control.
They don't.
The city should have stepped in and said, look, we're doing it whether you like it or you don't. But you know what? They can't because of the way the world's set up here. Frisco, as a city council, would have stepped in and told their school board to do that. School board would have done it.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm sorry, but that's just the facts.
The math was 1,800 people. There wouldn't have been a restaurant in this town that didn't have a wait.
We probably couldn't have even handled it, dead serious.
Yep.
I mean, we don't have enough restaurants and stuff like that.
But it
for
sure been- it sure
But
would have been
goddamn,
nice
that
to
would have
try.
been a great
Yeah.
day for the guy at Beef O'Brady's. What's his name? Brad.
Yeah.
Would have been a great day for Lonnie or
Yeah.
Brandon Burger. Would have been good for jalapeno lemon pepper. Been good for everybody.
The servers, the bartenders,
Everybody would have made money off
Yeah.
this. And these are the kids you're saying, we want you to come to our school so we can be the big school
And this
district.
is your future.
Everybody's so proud of Heritage. Oh my God, Heritage winning all these football titles.
where do you think they came from?
Exactly.
They came from the youth football
Exactly.
program.
The thing, Lobo, that you're talking about, the message you're sending, and for 1 minute, don't think these kids that are, 5th, 6th grade kids are stupid, because they realize it's a form of feeling not wanted or accepted. You know, these kids are going to be like, wait a minute, I remember my 6th grade year, I had to play in Mansfield because my own city, for whatever the reason, would not let us play in the big stadium.
They should
Right.
be under the big lights. If it's the Super Bowl, for crying
Exactly.
out loud.
Well, I'm sorry. As a little kid, and I was a little kid once, believe it or not,
Were you really?
and I played football.
You were a kid.
Dude, that would have been the biggest day of my life to
Yeah,
be at our
absolutely.
stadium that I may or may not ever get to play in. Because I may not be good enough to make the high school team. I don't know. I mean, I was, but I'm not.
But some don't.
The thing is, that's like going to the Super Bowl for these kids.
Yep.
Okay, so we
And what you
have
did
we
is
have
you said,
we have
what-
Midlothian
what
director.
they did is they said, we don't give a shit about you.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We have the Midlothian director who says absolutely no. He doesn't want to be bothered with it. But I'm going to tell you something. Jerry Jones will take your money in a second.
Absolutely.
If he wasn't booked, he would have had those kids at the start.
And you know
Typically,
what?
what does that cost?
It was $25,000 to rent Jerry World. And let me tell you something. Just, I'm not tooting my own horn, but as a coach in the MYFL this stint, out of 5 years, I've been to the Super Bowl twice.
That's what I was going to ask.
My team was the first Bantam team ever to win a Super Bowl in Midlothian, and that Bantam consists of first and second graders. Let me tell you something. We won the Super Bowl, and to look on those kids' faces with tears running down their eyes that they accomplished something, that's a lifelong memory you'll never take away from those kids.
No.
And like you said, Lobo, most of these kids, they'll never step on a high school football field.
No, that's
because
their deal.
They won't be good enough. But you know what, Rob and
They'll
John,
remember it
that
for the
was
rest
their
of their life.
Super Bowl. That
It
was their Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
And
that
we're
could have given them the
robbing.
Well,
confidence.
listen, you listen to people in this town, all they talk about is their old high school football day.
Yep.
It was the end of their life. High school football was it. That's what I had. I was that guy. Now I work at Jiffy Lube or whatever the fuck they do. But these kids ain't even going to make it that far. Let them have it.
Yep.
They're little
Yeah.
kids.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And because, we want to keep our fields. That's why. It's like we had the same conversation with the guy the other day. We're
You should
talking
have been
about
at Don
pool.
Floyd.
You got three football fields over here at Heritage. They're not even using 2 of them.
Yep.
But they don't have a pool. So they got to rent a pool. That's why we're on the whole thing with the rec center now. We got to have a pool. Well, goddamn it, get rid of the football fields. You ain't going to use them.
Yeah.
Yep.
But now you got football players you're turning away that aren't going to want to play for
Heritage has now, was it 3 practice fields?
you. 3 practice fields. They don't even play there. The JV plays there.
Okay.
Everybody else plays the big
Yeah, I was
stadium.
gonna say,
The
do you have
band,
any
I'm
idea
sure,
why
the
they
band
have
needs
3?
it to rehearse.
They don't use those.
They don't?
No, the
What do
one
they
the
use?
one that's right next to the big one with the stadium. I've been by multiple times. I don't do anything for a living, so I come out and I drive by. You might see a kicker using the one right next to it. Might.
Right.
Generally nothing. And then now they built another one. Why?
All right, well, here's the challenge to the residents here in Midlothian. Tell us why we need 3 football fields at Heritage. We want to know. So comment down below. First, I want you to like and subscribe to this feed first.
Yeah.
Yes,
but I
do
want
that
you to
first.
I want you to subscribe, and I want you to comment and tell us why, because we need feedback.
I grew up in football. My whole life is football. I devoted my whole life to football until I finally quit doing it.
Yeah.
And good on you for doing that, bro, because I don't have the constitution for it anymore. But my whole life was football. There is no reason that place needs 3 football fields. And don't hit me with your Texas football, this, that, the other bullshit, because dead serious, there's no reason to use it. We don't even have that at the university level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why do we need that?
I don't know.
But if
I'd
we
like to know
have
why.
why the hell ain't we using it?
Exactly. Guys, just so you know, one of the things that we have to do, because we are, we pay the city fees to be able
Yeah.
to use like CCP by the Hibachi-O.
Right.
That field
That
there.
field, correct.
And then we pay to be able to use MCP, which is the practice field there at the park. But if we ever want to use Walnut Grove Middle School, a turf field, or Frank Seal, we have to get special approval through the school board, and to my knowledge, the city paid for half of that stuff anyway, so it's just as much the cities as it is the schools.
Yes,
So
and I
are you
think that's something
actually
everybody needs to
going?
stand up for.
Yeah, are you actually going before the school board? Or are you making requests through the
city.
athletic director's secretary?
Well, for that Super Bowl incident, we were told we had to go through the athletic director.
Well, that should have went straight to the fucking city council, in my opinion.
yeah.
And they should have stepped in and done something about it, because that's too big.
Right.
So I have
Huge.
a question. Would it not behoove the coaches of the junior highs, the high schools, to not get on board, or at least on the same page with your board here in Midlothian, to create talent at an early age
Absolutely.
that progresses to the junior high levels? Because
that's the whole point.
You keep them till 6th grade, and then you turn them loose to these coaches.
In junior high, and that's what Lobo and I was talking
Shouldn't
about.
the coaches have some input on what you guys are
Absolutely.
doing?
Absolutely. Lobo and I, John, we were all talking about this before the live podcast
Right.
started, and bottom line is, we've been basically begging for years for the coaches, whether it be Heritage or Midlothian High, to come and integrate their systems at even at this level, because we got them from kindergarten all the way up to 6th grade.
Right.
So we're tired of hearing, where'd you learn that from? Where'd you learn that from? When they get to the other level. And the thing is, our coaches are not on the same pages with these other coaches. And I'll tell you what, the MYFL has a camp every year for football kids or hockey, soccer kids,
Yeah,
or whatever,
whatever
whoever
sport.
wants to come
Yeah.
out. And this year, Coach Wigington from Heritage came out and joined us. Excuse me, and also Coach Wendell come out, and they brought their kids out. And at the end of every camp, Coach Wendell said, I want my players to introduce themselves to you. And tell them a little bit about yourself. 8 out of 10 of those players that he brought all said they were raised in the MYFL. So what's that telling us? These kids are starting with us. Why can't, we want to so badly, whether it's heritage or it's
I think that's an important thing. That's not where I'm stuck right now. I mean, I agree. We talked about it. If you were from Midland, Odessa, those coaches care about you from the time you're born. I'm pissed off as hell about the fact that you couldn't use the field. I mean, I'm sorry, but our tax money pays for this. They work for us. I told that guy the other night, you work for me. I don't work for you.
Right.
You work for me. But these fields are our fields. We own them. We paid for them. Why in the hell can our kids not go out and use these fields? And we had the same conversation about using the track or this, that, and of course came up with this bullshit thing about you can use Walnut Hill and go walk on the track. Well, what if I don't live near Walnut Hill? What if I live near, Midlothian High School, and I want to walk on that goddamn track? Well, these are our shit. And then we got a message today, oh my God, we're going to talk to people about maybe opening up the tracks. Well, it's about goddamn time.
Yeah.
But this is something way more important than this. You have baseball, you have soccer, you have all these different sports, and here's a really legit football league, and they're told they can't have the Super Bowl here? They didn't say, can we play Saturday's game here? Which, by the way, in my opinion, to hell with all the parks they're playing in, they should be playing in all these nice stadiums anyway.
Yep.
We pay for it.
Yep. These other towns.
But this was a special. This was a special event.
It was.
How hard is that?
Yeah.
Yep.
You should have embraced it.
And here's another thing that came out of this whole situation. Because we did not get the big ticket venue like Midlothian High School Stadium, the BVFA made us. Now, when you go to Jerry World and have a Super Bowl there or the Star, they make your minimum price to get in, no matter who you are, is $20. They made us, because we were at that old Mansfield Independent.
Yeah.
That turf looks like it ain't been changed since the 70s. Heck, Ricky said that back when he was in high school in '86, you guys played on that same turf field, and they made us charge $5 for a Super Bowl event.
Wow.
And anybody under the age of 18 was free.
And
here's what's funny.
And that's where you guys
all
make
of
your
our
money.
fields are brand new.
Brand new. Yes.
All of our fields are brand new. That we just, oh my God, we got to have these big budgets. Brand new this, brand new that, brand new that. Now we can't use it?
Yep.
I'm going to tell you right now, the school board is screwed.
Yeah.
All right, so my challenge is I want to hear from the coaches. I want to know why. Why are you think that you're better than everybody else, and why can't we have an event here for our kids?
It's going to take some time.
I do not want to hear there's an insurance problem, because we know that the youth football program has their own insurance.
Well, hang on,
but that is what was told to us.
I'm going to go with the coaches like, why do you not give a shit about being successful? That you don't want to get these kids when they're young and mold them into something that's going to make you successful. I want to hear that from the coaches. But you know what I want to hear from? I want to hear from the school.
Well, that's what
I
I'm
want to hear
saying.
from the school board.
Because
I want to hear from the school board. I want to hear from our superintendent. I want to hear from our athletic director. I want to hear all that stuff. Get on our podcast and tell me what is wrong with kids using our own goddamn field. That makes me mad.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, Lobo. We had that conversation not too long ago with a member, and they said, well, it must have been an insurance issue.
Well,
it's
because
not
that
an
member
insurance
has
issue.
no balls.
Don't
He's
tell me
spineless.
that.
That member is spineless and changes his story all day long, just like on the other shit we were talking about earlier that got cut off. The fact of the matter is, these are your kids. They're in your town using their fields. Why not?
Well,
why is it locked down? I want to know that, because no other city around does that.
so how long before you think it is that we can get another Super Bowl? I mean, if ours was last year here in
gonna be 10,
Midlothian,
15
are we
years. You
talking
already said
another
that.
10 years?
It goes through a
15
rotation?
years.
So we literally have another 10 years to figure this out and get this
Right.
thing.
Yeah, but what did we miss for 10 years?
We missed it. We missed it. I mean, there's
What if
no
this-
bringing it back.
What if this
at
would have been the
point.
spot that they said, you know what, damn, let's just do it here every time. This is awesome. This town is great. The people are great. The this, the that, the other thing. We'll never know. Why won't we know? Because some asshole decided it was not cool. I think that's jacked up.
Yeah. So what else? Any challenges that you faced today? I mean, that was the Super Bowl. I mean, is there anything else that you need the community to step up?
One of the things, Rob, that what we do as coaches is, number one, as a board member, we screen the coaches heavily. We look at their backgrounds.
Right.
We make sure that they're just the fit for the job that we need done, because these are, like Lobo said earlier, these are all volunteer positions. None of us get paid. In football season, we put probably 30 to 40 hours a week into what we do, and if you don't do it for the love of these kids, you're doing it for the wrong reason.
Right.
So therefore, the thing that we need more of are volunteers that just want to sit their egos aside, or they want to try to live vicariously through their child or whatever, and say, I wasn't good as an athlete in high school, but you know what?
So you don't require them to have a football background necessarily?
No, not necessarily. I mean, now we do have, this year was probably by far the strongest set of candidates that we ever had. We had 6 heavily qualified head coaches for the 6th grade level, and we only needed 3. So what we did this year, it's the first time we've ever done it, so we can still capture that group of good coaches. We have co-head coaches this year, to where these guys are going to work together.
Yeah.
And because if you're not willing to work together and you need that title just to say, I'm a head coach, we don't want you. I mean, because that's not what you're here to do. I've been in this league almost 20 years, and at the end of the day, I'm co-head coaching with a guy that I respect. He's a year or 2 older than my son, my oldest son, and he went through the MYFL, Chris Lampkins.
Yeah.
That guy, he does it for the love of these kids. If you don't do it for that, you're doing it for the wrong reason.
So,
a lot of people don't realize. I've said this for years, and I've done personal training for years. I coached for years. It's the same as an educator. You're either born to do this or you'll never be good at it.
Exactly.
And you can see it immediately. We all had the bad coaches. I mean, I don't know about you. My first memory I ever had of football was being grabbed by my face mask and slung around, and bad coach. But if you think about it, what made us over time, and you can name them, it was your coaches. Just like in school, you can remember your teachers, the ones that were the ones. They were meant to do this. They were there for a reason.
John Black, that was my coach.
But people, wanting to volunteer, that's great. I'm glad you want to volunteer. How about you bring the orange slices or some bullshit like that? Let's leave the coaching to the guys that actually need to be a coach. And it's not about qualifications. A lot of guys are qualified to coach, can't coach.
Right.
I mean, every Cowboys coach since Jimmy Johnson is pretty much that guy. But the fact of the matter is that you are born to do this job. If you're one of those people that's out there, and I'm gonna ask you, if you're one of those people that's born to do this, some of us are, get out there and do this. Help these kids. Get out in the system and make it work. Yep. And while you're at it, take it a step farther. If these coaches that are at these schools are guys collecting a check because they get paid more to coach, but they're a science teacher, get them the hell out of here. Let's have coaches that are meant to be coaches, because part of coaching is coaching the game. Right. The other part is raising men or raising ladies, depending on what you're in. And of course now, who knows what we're raising, because we have all these gender assignments. But your job is to raise human beings to be good people. The things that we learned in sports as young men or young women or young whatever the hell we are now, those are the things that get us through all of our life.
Absolutely.
These are lessons that last forever. You see a guy like Tim who's out here and he's like, man, I don't have to do this. I'm doing it because I want to do it. And of course, he's got a background. He's got all his other things he does. He's meant to do this. He could have done it at a much higher level. I'm going to tell you right now, this guy could run the WWF or whatever the hell it's called now. He's out here doing it for your kids. Be like him.
Exactly.
And as far as the school board's concerned, to hell with you.
Yeah.
All of you. Because that's something you missed the boat on that there's no reason. You're worried about somebody using your stuff. You always want me to come over here and use your code to come in and use your barn. And I won't do it. But you're offering that. And then here we are. We have all of these nice fields. Oh, no, you can't use them. What's the difference there? There's a big difference there.
Yeah. Well, hopefully next go around, we'll make it happen and at least put on a good Super Bowl. Again, like you said, that could be a decade from now. But guys, if you're out there and you got kids in Midlothian football, help out, support.
Amen.
These guys are volunteering their time. They are shaping and molding our children into fine young men and women.
Yes, I agree.
These kids read. They forget a lot. There's a lot of people they interact throughout their whole life, but they never forget their coaches.
Never.
Their coaches play a very integral part in their development and their life.
Yeah.
And it's very, very important. And we appreciate everything you do for these kids because we know you don't have to do this, but you do this because you love them. You love what you're doing. And you see the things that happen. You see the way these kids grow up, and you see the way it molds them into their future lives.
Absolutely.
It all starts with their sports and everything else. It's not all about sports, but a big part of these kids' lives are sports.
George.
George is in the house.
So we appreciate you, Tim, for everything you do for our city as far as the football.
I appreciate that, Rob.
Little League football goes. But let's, John, unless you have anything else to add, I want to switch gears here and let's talk about something else pertaining to Tim.
We're going to do, we got our bartender here making a
shots
shot,
coming?
so we're going to do one shot before Tim leaves, and then we're going to...
let's talk about Sweet Daddy Guido Falcone.
let's do that. Yeah, Sweet Daddy.
Okay, so now Midlothian, you guys have met Tim Roberts, the city representative for Midlothian youth football. Now, I want to introduce to you the man, the myth, the legend, Sweet Daddy Guido Falcone.
But if he does not do his normal interview talking, I don't want to hear any more of it.
All right, hang on. I got to adjust some levels because I
know
it's going to be really boomy.
Tim,
So let's get it going here.
Let's leave Penn State. Let's take it back in time.
First, let's do a shot.
Do a shot.
Well, no, let's let him do the shot as Big Daddy
Okay,
Falcone.
Sweet Daddy, lead us in.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. I'm here and I just come from the gym and I'm hanging and banging. I'm sweating. And you know what? Let me tell you something, Southern Rockers. You don't have anything you can't hold Sweet Daddy Falcone, Brickhouse Brown, the Uptown Posse. We are the up-and-coming team of the USWA. We will take those straps April 1st, 1991, Mid-South Coliseum. Take it to the bank, brother.
Oh,
Cheers.
Back to
Yes.
1991. Yes, sir. Okay, so
Boy,
Tim,
that's a blast from the past.
So we talked just a second ago. You played football at Penn State, had some issues with your knees. Where did professional wrestling come about? How did that come about?
Well, after I hurt my knee, I came back home to the Red Lion area, Pennsylvania, to rehab my knee. And a guy he was a few years older than me in high school. He was just getting into being a professional wrestling manager.
This was several decades ago.
Yes.
On the screen right now, you're going to see an original picture of Sweet Daddy Guido Falcone.
I'm going to kidnap your dog, by the way.
His name was Dirty Deeds Darren Wise, and he saw me throughout high school and followed me, and after he heard I come back from being injured and everything, he went ahead and said, "Hey, you need to get into professional wrestling." So I was like, "Well, I want to still be an athlete." So I went down to Woodbury, New Jersey, to Larry Sharp's Monster Factory, and that's where I was trained. Some of the people that you might know come through there was the Pitbull Express. They were big in the ECW. Papa Shango.
Papa Shango.
Charles White was his real name.
Was this back before the WWF took over and there were still regions, or was the WWF the big leagues at the time?
WWF was still the big leagues,
Okay.
but like everybody's like, in baseball you have the minor leagues, and everybody goes through the minor leagues to make it to the big leagues. Well, at that time, USWA was in Memphis, Tennessee.
Jerry Lawler's?
Jerry Lawler and Jerry Jarrett owned that promotion. And everybody, you would go down there. I mean, I was there, for instance, with like The Rock, you name it, I was there with them. And that was like a organization. You didn't get paid a lot. You'd, probably make $40-50 a night.
And mind you, this is before Dwayne Johnson ever started in a movie. He was just second generation.
He was just.
Well, who was his dad?
Rocky Johnson.
Rocky Johnson,
yes.
And he was Rocky Maivia at the time,
Correct,
I guess.
Correct. So basically, they sent all the talent there to get nightly work so you could hone your craft, basically. So I went in at a very young age, probably 21, 22.
Right.
And was on the road, and they saw me, they liked me, they saw I was a big guy, they saw I was agile, I could move for a 300-pounder. So they started giving me what they call in wrestling a push.
Yeah.
They started main eventing me against the likes of like Bill Dundee, Jerry Lawler, in singles, and then they put me in a tag team with Brickhouse Brown, and our manager was Reggie B. Fine, and they called us the Uptown Posse.
Gotcha.
Well, we beat the Rock and Roll Express in Mid-South Coliseum for the USWA tag team titles.
Well, they were like Rob size. So.
Well, no, the Rock and Roll Express, they were here out of Dallas-Fort Worth, weren't they?
No.
Oh, no, they were Jim Cornette's people.
No,
Right.
You're right. Okay.
They were.
I guess I'm thinking
They were also-
Fantastics.
but they
I'm
were
a little.
They
yeah.
were also
Steve-
both your size.
Dennis Condrey and Steve Lane, I believe.
Right,
No,
the
they were.
Fantastics.
You remember them?
Yeah.
The Rock and Roll Express, yeah.
So they put this, and anytime you're in a territory, just so you know, the political side of things, if I had $1 for every time someone said is wrestling fake, I'd be a multi-millionaire.
That's not Ricky Morton, isn't it?
Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson.
Robert Gibson. Yeah, I still follow them. They tour still today.
The
Are they
thing,
still alive?
Yes,
Yeah, they
I
are.
follow
They're
them
old.
on.
They're
I
old as
follow them
dirt.
on Facebook,
Yeah, yeah.
and you know what?
Dude, Vince Neil looks great.
They all wear they're in the Hall of Fame. So I follow them on Facebook.
Right.
Ricky Morton, and then the gray-haired guy now.
Robert Gibson.
Robert Gibson's the dark-headed guy. Ricky Morton is now
yeah,
solid
yeah,
white.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because he had the blonde hair.
He was,
Yes,
he was
yes.
blonde. Correct.
And anytime you go into a territory, if you know you're going to get used, the good sign is they bring you in, they put a strap on you, they give you a belt.
So that was the team you had the tag team you had to beat was the Rock and Roll Express.
Right.
You and Brickhouse Brown.
Correct. And then, so basically they put the belts on us, and, we held the USWA Tag Team Champion belts for probably 6 months, and we could have the same match. Like, let's just say you and Lobo were tagging up as a team, and me and John were a team. We
Lobo and Rob. That would be funny.
we could go
Oh, it'd be
around.
more funny with you and him.
Well, at least we would have a competitive advantage because we got the size.
You want to bet?
Yeah,
Have you ever
I'm
seen?
gonna go on that one.
Look at
too.
these guns, baby. Look,
Tim,
look.
you better tell these guys.
Yeah. And just so you know,
Howitzers, bro.
Hey, you better tell these guys.
Rob was the first backyard wrestling champion in the
DeSoto.
DeSoto
The
area.
Backyard Federation.
So
And-
wait, you did those backyard federation
did.
videos where you would jump off the
I've-
house
I've
onto
done
a
it.
table?
I've done it in his backyard at his
Yes.
house in DeSoto when
Yes.
Kiefer was 5 years old.
Dude, that
off his
stuff was
toys.
crazy.
I was the
Well,
smallest guy of my friends. Tim knows all
Is
my
it not
friends.
making sense now? A lot of head
But-
trauma.
Listen,
Absolutely.
Tim will tell you.
Totally makes sense.
I hung out with some pretty big guys.
Yeah.
We're talking Chad Crook, Brian
Yeah.
Elliott, God
Yeah.
rest his soul, our
Yeah.
buddy
Yeah.
who passed away. Jason Brown, another one who died in war.
Yeah.
These are huge guys, but for some reason, we still, a few of us still that I'm still in contact with talk about it today. We have no reason we have no understanding why they always let me retain the title. Like their thing was they want to beat the hell out of me. My mother was into ceramics at one point. She went out and bought a ton of greenware, probably spent $600 in greenware. We used it, it was before it was fired in a kiln, so it was really brittle, right? She'd buy these turkey platters that she was going to paint and put in a kiln. We'd bust them over our heads. He'll tell you. I mean,
didn't you juice in my tanning salon one night?
So I worked at the tanning salon in Duncanville. He punished me one time and stuck me in Duncanville because DeSoto was where I was from, and I came back over to DeSoto and we put on a match. He's just sitting there egging us on. He owns the place, so we can do whatever we want. And they brought out a razor blade and I cut my forehead, and they hit me with a chair shot and nobody could see it. I cut my forehead.
So what do you mean? But what do you mean by juice? Did you
juicing means?
Wait, hang on a second.
Yeah.
Did you get like apples and bananas and stuff? Put this in like Mr. Juicer?
There's okay.
This is
Tim,
where we know
hold on.
John's a dork.
Tim, let's stop for a second. For all you guys that know anything about wrestling, Tim, hold on. Smizark the Mizarks.
Okay, I got you.
Okay.
Smizarks, what?
There's a Carney language.
Yes, and that Rizab was Siazane, was Spiaziking Tiazu Mizi, is in Kiazarni. So
Smizarks and Mizarks. That means we're telling. Okay, now it's sports entertainment, but as you know, and everybody knows, back in the day, wrestling, there was a code. And when I first met Tim, there was a code, and
it's called kayfabe.
And there was a wrestler who worked for Tim at the Sportatorium, not Al Jackson. If you'll remember, Action Jackson's partner. He had a house in Oak Cliff, and he had bought a ring, and he brought Brian and I out to train us to wrestle in his backyard.
So it had a juice bar?
Well, no. Juicing's cutting yourself with a razor blade. And
You are not smart.
Well, hey, you got to
called
educate
juicing.
me, guys. That's how I get smarter.
So you know how the
You're
wrestlers
smart at
wear
all the other stuff.
You tape your wrist, and inside
You're not worldly.
you put a piece of a razor blade. So when Tim comes to hit me or hits me with a chair, I've got a piece of razor blade in my hand, and he hits me with a chair. And when I grab my head, I just give it a cut. And
That's how the blood flows.
And the blood flows. I mean, it takes a teaspoon of blood on your
this
face.
isn't
Looks
real,
massive.
John.
That's why it looks so real.
Because it is real.
Dude, the Undertaker used to
totally-
get hit. The
Dude, I'm
Undertaker
going
would
to tell
just
you right
slice
now.
himself
People always
open.
tell me, "Well, wrestling's fake," and
No, man,
yes,
there's
it
a
is
lot
scripted.
of athleticism.
Now, remember
in it.
last week we talked about scripted reality.
Yeah.
That's what wrestling is.
Okay.
Exactly.
But look, those falls, they still hurt.
They're real. The
do.
bumps, taking bumps.
The jump from
mistakes,
the third rail.
The mistakes will still fuck you up.
Yep.
They will.
It's very
Yeah.
real.
So it's not like jumping on a pillow mattress. I mean,
Oh, no.
that platform, I mean, it flexes, but it's
ring,
hard,
The
right?
ring, John, is consisted of a steel structure, and then plywood is laid down.
Isn't it 2x12s that run and then
Yeah,
plywood?
2x12s and then plywood, and then on top of the plywood you put
Like carpet pad.
a sheet of carpet pad, and then you put the canvas over that.
Oh, so it's not like a Posturepedic
No,
memory foam
absolutely
mattress,
not.
right?
No,
John, the ropes are steel cable. I mean,
ropes are steel.
The whelps.
Yeah, but
that-
when you guys jump, I
when-
mean, I see that thing flex like 3 feet.
Johnny, when you watch like an older wrestler and you look like under his armpits,
Yeah.
like, it's torn to
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
From
Okay.
hitting those, like, dude, this stuff is not fake.
I mean,
It's scripted. I'll give you.
Yeah, but they do
but
these
dude, it's not
moves.
fake.
But they do these moves where they bounce off one cable and they go launching all the way across. I mean, it looks like these cables are like rubber bands.
No,
Have you not
that's
watched
the-
the
Yeah.
Undertaker's last ride
That's-
show?
that's
All the
the-
surgeries he had.
Yeah.
No, I
dude,
ain't seen that.
this is real stuff. I know Steve Austin really well. I used to do his security. when
Steve
he used to
Williams?
come into- yeah. I know him really well, and dude, that guy is screwed for the rest of his life. He's actually kind of mobile.
Yeah.
But he's not.
Well, you wrestled with Steve a lot.
Yeah, we broke him in the sportatorium.
See,
in
I
the
didn't know
early
that.
90s.
This is education right here.
Yeah. He came from North Texas, playing football up there, and he decided he wanted to become a pro wrestler. He responded to infomercial that Chris Adams had running on our TV on Channel 11 every Saturday night. Steve came down, and we all said when we saw Steve, that guy got the it factor. And Steve.
Well, he didn't for a long time.
No,
When
he got screwed
when
by
he was
the
doing
WWE.
the pretty boy stuff and all.
He
that
was, it
stuff.
was
the
Hollywood Blonde. Him and
ringmaster.
Brian Pillman.
Brian Pillman,
Yeah, did the.
and then
Well, see, my buddy Sidney, who now lives in Lancaster, but Sidney played with him at North Texas. They both did. He was actually in. The Mean Green movie. What the hell was the Mean Green movie with?
Longest Yard.
Longest Yard.
No, not Longest Yard. It was. God dang it!
So when
Necessary Roughness.
It had the guy from the Big Show. I can't.
so when you were
Necessary
wrestling,
Necessary Roughness.
so when you
They were in
came
that
in
together.
when you came into the big scene, I mean, was this before or after the whole Von Erichs era?
I hit Dallas in the early 90s, and the Von Erichs that were alive at that time were Kerry,
Fritz.
Kevin, and Chris.
Did Fritz own the Sportatorium at the time?
No, not at the time when I came. Jerry Jarrett had just bought it from WCCW.
Because Mark's story was
And
he would go
WCCW
on
was-
Wednesday and sit in in Fritz's office and trying to get an interview with Fritz.
Fritz was no longer involved in the early 90s.
So that was world-class championship wrestling.
Correct.
That's kind of like the grandfather of everything, wasn't it?
Correct. That was its major territory. They're the ones that put 50,000 people in the seats at Texas Stadium.
I was there, the Parade of Champions.
I remember when they
I was
came
there.
there. I
I was
remember-
there. Scaffold match. Flamboyant Eric Embry.
Okay, this is going to predate you. This is probably when you were still in your mama's womb. But I remember when they were coming to Midlothian and they were wrestling in Midlothian at the football field.
Oh, wow.
Yes, they did road shows.
I do know this. When I first hit Dallas in the early 90s, I had
This is like the 80s.
we would get our booking sheet every week. I remember wrestling at Red Oak High School in the center of the football field for USWA, and we were still wrestling 4 to 6 nights a week. You were able to make money still. I mean, it wasn't like the WWF.
What would you make a night back then?
I main evented in the Sportatorium. My biggest payoff was the night I blew my ACL out. It was me and gorgeous Gary Young against Jeff Jarrett and Jerry Lawler.
Yeah.
I tore my knee out in the middle of the match, and like you said, Lobo, it's all talked about. It's all scripted. So the finish, I could not perform the finish. I tore my ACL, and I had Jerry Lawler come over to me, and I said, I can't go. I tore my ACL. I said, just throw me out of the ring and, count me out. Because I couldn't stand on my legs.
So how did it go from World Class Championship Wrestling, WCCW? How did it go to
USWA? Jerry Jarrett, the promoter in Tennessee, bought the rights to it. So
did he buy them from Fritz, or
he bought them from Fritz? So he would have, what he would do is he would have you perform in Memphis, and then he would fly his talent to Texas to perform Friday night.
Yokozuna was a part of that then, because Eric Embry is the one who tore down the banner, and changed it back to world class.
Right.
And then at some point, when you guys bought the place, it became Central Wrestling Alliance, CWA.
Correct.
So how did this whole WWE thing come about?
You didn't spot it all.
You basically, I had 2 different stints with the WWE. Matter of fact, for all you wrestling historians out there, me and my partner Vito Mussolini, I was Guido Falcone. We were the Sicilian Studs. Bruce Pritchard is one of the major booking talent agents up at the WWF, and he was brother Love. He was coming down through Texas to see his niece get married in Houston, and we had just had a tryout with them, and they have dark matches. So what they do, they bring you to their arena, they put you in front of the crowd, but it's just not aired on TV. It's called a dark match. Right. So you're performing, but you're performing in front of just live people, not on TV.
So it'd be kind of like an interview, or
correct? It's like an interview. So we did really, really well. We had beat two jabronis from Houston up, beat them up pretty good. They liked us and they called us up. And
he's The Rock now. Jabronis.
The Rock got that from. I've known that word since we were kids.
That's
before The Rock said it.
Exactly. So Bruce Pritchard said, "Hey, I'm coming through Dallas. I want to meet you and your partner. I got something for you." I said, "Okay." He was coming through on a Sunday, and I took a booking Friday or Saturday in Killeen, Texas, at the Army base, and it was for Scott Putski.
Yeah.
And I was and I called my partner up. I said, "Hey, Kenny, we got a shot in Killeen. I need you to be there." Well, he just no-showed on me. He goes, "No, I'm not going." He just no-showed.
Is that when you Tim Sawyer'd?
No, that's when I went down there and they put me in a singles against Scott Putski. I tore my other ACL. Well, I called up Bruce Pritchard and I said, "Hey, Bruce, I have some news for you." I said, "I know you're coming in tomorrow. I just tore my ACL." He goes, "Well, I had a contract for you guys to sign with the WWF at the time. And the gimmick they were going to give us was, I don't know if you remember it, but you remember the Headbangers?
Yeah.
The guys that came out. They wanted me and my partner to wear those, dress in the grunge and the skirts and the bald head, because I was bald at the time anyway.
Right.
And it was just a great fit. But once again, things happen for reasons, so they had to overlook me, and Bruce Pritchard said to me, he says, "Well, sweet daddy, just rehab and call us when you're done."
So this was years after you did the first stint and you did the dark matches, Tim Sawyer. I've watched that at your house years ago.
Yeah, that was in late 80s, I believe. Yeah. But this thing with the WWF, which is now WWE, was probably, I had two different runs with them. I had 95 and 97. The funny thing is, back in 95, I'll never forget, they would come in and to Texas, they'd bring in all their stars, they'd fly them into DFW, and then we would do like a circuit in Texas. And I had Barry Horowitz every single night, and we were out in Tyler at the Oil Palace. I don't know if you ever remember.
I've heard it, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Barry was like, "Hey, brother," he goes, "we're just going to do the same thing we did last night. Let's just walk and talk." And I was like, "Great." So we would go out there and we would just, perform the same match that we had the night before. And once you get a match down with somebody, I can do it in a different town every night.
Exactly.
And we don't have to communicate. But just, like you were talking earlier, Lobo, the communication, it's all, you have a booker, which is AKA the boss.
Right.
And they, if like me and Rob are going to work one another that night, they'll say, "Hey, sweet daddy, you're working with Rob. I want you to go 10 minutes. I want you to put him over with, either his finish or a screw job or interference or something like that." And then it's just up to him and I to sit down, talk it out.
It's the matchmakers.
Exactly.
And as far as the WWE goes, everybody knows it's what Vince wants.
Exactly. Exactly. Now Vince, over the last several years, because he's a publicly traded company, he has went to Hollywood screenwriters. So like Teddy Prince Jr., he wrote for the storylines for the WWF for years.
Wow.
You didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Honestly, and this is a disclaimer, I won't even let my kids watch wrestling now, because wrestling today is not what it was when I represented it in the 80s, 90s.
It's not. I don't watch it anymore, to be honest with you. I haven't seen
it is
WrestleMania.
completely different.
It's too much TNA.
It is.
Yeah.
It's not wrestling. It's more whatever. And so people ask me, hey, do you know this guy, this guy, this guy? I'm like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
You know, I like to have my memories of,
That's my thing is that they've got a lot of fringe things going on now, like the AEW and different things like that. They're fun to watch.
Yeah.
Like we went down and watched one like 2016 or something like that. Man, I had a blast. It was like as a kid.
Yeah.
Sitting on the first row, right next to the ring, and like they're still trying.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and that's fun. That's what
It is
wrestling
fun.
was supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, which you got to go all the way back to like the Gorgeous George days, which if you know about that, you're old.
Yeah.
But that was when wrestling was fun, and then you know we had like when we were kids, we had the NWA and the AWA and all these different things. They were fun. WWE never really got much for me, but then you know now it's like so washed out. It's like you want to go back to like when you were a kid.
Yeah.
And go watch that. So
And
like,
maybe that's
some
just
of those,
our
some
age.
of those are good, and I don't know what they're all called or whatever. But I've watched a couple of the smaller ones, and I'm like, it misses the pop of the new one. They got to almost kind of come up a little bit, but dude, it's more real. Like, you know, if it's you and me, and I was mad at you, I'm gonna come here and whip your ass.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
gonna talk
Absolutely.
about it for 13 hours.
Yeah.
You know, oh, the Undertaker's been dead for how many years? Like, oh yeah, whatever. Go fuck off. I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, this guy has superpowers. Like, really? No one's gonna believe that. You almost want to see two good old boys in pickup trucks pull up and just duke it out outside. And I think if wrestling ever got back to that, I think it could come back because people would understand it more.
Yeah, they will.
I think right now it's just got so over. It's Marvel and DC'd out too much.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, Tim, I want to thank you for coming by. John, do you have anything else to add tonight before we wrap this up? We're getting over the time limit here.
Yeah, I don't remember. We had to do a couple cuts on this, guys, because we had some technical difficulties at the beginning. But I want to mention Richard Pena. He is doing well.
Yep.
We still want to continue prayers because he
Absolutely.
still has
Keep
a
him in our
long road
prayers.
ahead of him.
He's a good dude.
And please keep him and Jennifer and their family in your prayers. And we'd like to thank you, Tim, for coming out. And man, I tell
We
you,
want to have you back too. We can sit and talk for hours. We really
could sit
could.
here and talk for several hours, and believe me, you'll be back. And I would like to thank Lobo and Rob for taking the time out. And
I'd like to thank you for being so pretty.
well, thank you. You know, I think you're lying to me, but that's all right. You're just trying to get in my
All of us
I
here.
was talking to Tim.
Yeah. So from all of us here at Cement City Chatter, we hope you enjoy this week's show. We love you. Rob LaFleur, internationally known, locally loved Lobo,
Probably not loved.
live from the Opoka Palace, John Opoka. Good night, Midlothian.
Make sure you please like and subscribe.
Hit the button.
Hit the button down below.
Just
Like
this
and
little
subscribe.
Button.
And if you like it enough, we will record a chair shot. And if we have enough likes, we'll post the chair shot.
And we are on iTunes Radio,
we need,
iHeartRadio,
before we stop,
iTunes.
can we put a supplement on where he chokeslams Rob through a table?
Yeah, we'll try.
We'll work on that. Love you, Midlothian. Good night.
Peace out, guys.